Happy Friday. Today I wanted to talk about something that I was thinking about since I did that get ready with me the other day. And it has been about high school, and I honestly just realized that I think actually this week school started back up again in Vegas. So then I was thinking, like, I've been saying this a lot, like especially when I go to like Walmart, because then we'll be passing by like the school supplies, and then usually I'm either with my mom or my dad, so I'll usually be like, oh, you know what I miss about this time of year? I miss school supply shopping. Honestly, that's for real. Like, that's true. I miss, like, this may be weird, but I miss, like, buying notebooks, buying loose leaf college ruled paper, because who uses wide ruled? I don't know. I can't use wide ruled. I gotta use college ruled. Getting notebooks, getting a new binder. Aside from, like, saying, oh, I miss school shopping, I was thinking more, and then I was like, how did I even survive? Like, honestly, because, you know, you get senioritis early most of the time. You go from, like, I don't know if any of you guys are like this, but you go from, like, dressing up a lot in freshman year, and then senior year, it's just, like, sweats and a hoodie. It's cool. But I guess I just wanted to talk about, like, along with my stories, if I have stories, just, like, kind of, like, how I got through high school. So the first thing is that I didn't go to high school all 4 years. I didn't attend a public school. October, during my sophomore year, I actually started doing online classes, and that went until the end of sophomore year. And then junior year, I was back in school. Let's start with freshman year, okay? So freshman year, I don't know if any of you guys ever got like this, and I'll probably say that a lot throughout this video, my apologies right now, but freshman year, it was just like, you're like super excited because then it's like, you finally get to high school. Not only is it your last 4 years of school, like actually attending school, unless you go to college, but it's like, it's a bit more freedom, you know, it's a bigger school, you're gonna be mixed with like other grades, because here, my middle school and my elementary school, they didn't do that much stuff to where you could have people from different grades in the same class, but at high school they did. You get football games to go to, you get soccer games, baseball games, softball games, you know, just like any sport. Like, they finally have like good games because it's high school apparently. And you get dances, you get to go to prom, you get to go to Sadie's. They might have other dances, but I'm not for sure. The only dance I ever went to throughout my whole high school career was prom. And obviously that's 12th grade, so I only ever attended one dance. And you know, you're just super, super, super excited to like be in high school. And then I think for me personally, I was more excited that I was finally, you know, up to my last 4 years of school, because I personally didn't like school. And not because I didn't like learning or anything like that, but if I'm being completely 100% honest, it was because I had to wake up early. So for me in freshman year, pertaining to looks, I would honestly would not dress the same nowadays. On the fact that I dressed up, every day I dressed up, right? I would get up early, I would curl my hair or straighten it, whatever I'm doing to it that day. I would put my makeup on, I would have breakfast, and then I would get changed, right? So one outfit that I can remember specifically, because I'm just like, I can't believe I dressed like that, was I wore these purple skinny jeans with dark brown moccasins, a black and white polka dot blouse, and then I would wear a cardigan with it.
Why would you say that?
I wore a lot of colored pants throughout freshman year. And just looking back at it now, like, don't get me wrong, the pants were nice, the jeans were nice. It's just the way I wore it was not so nice, and I can't believe I did it. So that was one of the outfits that I remember all the time. I had purple skinny jeans, I had green skinny jeans, and it's not like it was like dark or like a neutralized green. It was a bright green. The issue is not so much the colored jeans, we'll say. The issue was how I wore it with other things. Purple, and they were like the color of this sticky notes. Like they were this color purple. So that color with, it was black with white polka dots on it. With that, with a black cardigan, okay, that could match if maybe, you know, yeah, it could match on somebody else, just it didn't really match on me. With brown moccasins, brown. They weren't beige, they weren't black, they were brown moccasins. I was a freshman, like, who cares? Obviously I did it if I'm obviously not looking at how I'm dressing, but you know, it's whatever. We have A days and B days here in Vegas. So A days you have classes 1, 3, 5, and 7. And then on B days you have class periods 2, 4, 6, and 8. Depending on where your third class of the day is, whether it's upstairs or downstairs would depend on if you have first lunch or second lunch. So you would have 2 classes in the morning, and then if your third class of the day is downstairs, you would have first lunch. Everybody's third period classes whose was upstairs would have second lunch. On A days, I had first lunch, and on B days, I had second lunch. Out of A days and B days on my classes, I really liked B days because I used to have one of my old friends used to be in 3 classes with me right after another, and then our last period would be different, and we would always hang out at lunch. And this is like somebody I grew up with from elementary school. So of course I'm like, yo, like it's dope. We have all 3 classes together, and then we got lunch, and then we have one separate class, and then I'll see you after school and we'll go chill. Honestly, if I just focused on my academics more than anything, I could have graduated early. Honestly, I could have. That could have been an option, but I did the bare minimal. So I did my classwork, cool. I did my homework every once in a while. And, you know, I got through freshman year. Outside of freshman year was a whole different story. I was a really, like, I can admit this, I was a bad, like, I wasn't the best person to be hanging out with back then because I used to do a lot of, like, really, really, really bad stuff. I don't do any of that nowadays. And when I say really bad stuff, one of the things that I'm talking about is like stealing. Me and this friend would go to like, we have a mall here and it's called Meadows Mall. But the people who live here, the locals, we call it Ghettos Mall. At least up in Northtown, we call it Ghettos Mall. Get dropped off during the week. Like, first of all, we should be focusing on our school stuff, but we're not. We're going to the mall. Go to the mall during the week, get dropped off. You know, especially on a Monday, because if you go on a Monday, it's pretty cool. I don't know if any of you guys are like this, but I used to get lunch money, so I would get $20 every week. And because my mom was like, you know, $5 a day for lunch, even though you get free lunch.
I made them extra sloppy for you.
So, you know, just go to the mall, right? And this is when I was first getting into, like, really getting into makeup and makeup palettes and stuff like that. So being a horrible influence and, like, kid that I was, me and this person would go to, it wasn't like Macy's or JCPenney's, but there was a smaller shop in there, and we would always make sure that we're wearing jackets. See, like, we're horrible kids because we thought this stuff out. So we would make sure that we're wearing jackets. And if you wanted like a pen eyeliner or like lipstick or a brush or even a mini palette, yeah, I stole a mini. We had a mini palette before. That came up on our haul. Basically, you would end up just putting it in the sleeve and just like being casual about it and stuff like that. And then you would go and you would talk to the sales rep, right? And you just like have conversations with them so that way they didn't think anything was up, and you would ask them about products and stuff. So we're like evil kids, right? Obviously. We did that. We would get like beanies and shirts. Like, I did not hang out with the right crowd, and I myself was like such a horrible person, I think, back then. I'm pretty sure I kind of paid the price for this, because later on down the road, I would get stuff stolen from me. So it was kind of like karma working in a sense, but you know, it's never good to steal. Don't steal. If you don't have the money, then you know what, you just gotta move on. Like, you just gotta move on. Freshman year was over. It like flew by. I didn't even realize, like, I didn't keep up back then. So it was like gone before I knew it. Like, I started, and then next thing you know, it's the last day of school. So then sophomore year comes by, and I'm a little bit more aware of the stuff that I'm wearing, because I look back at the pictures and I'm just like, what was I thinking? So sophomore year for me was a lot of Vans, a lot of gray or black sweats, a lot of V-necks, and a lot of cardigans. One outfit from sophomore year that I can remember very vividly would be red Vans, gray sweats, dark gray sweats, a red or black V-neck with a black cardigan. And I had a white backpack then. I would wear that all the time. And this is where I first met one of my very, 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 very good friends, Jordy. So sophomore year is here. One of my friends ended up going and doing online schooling, so I kind of had to like find another group kind of thing and like make more friends or like talk to old friends and stuff like that. So I went through that whole thing, and it was third period English. Me and my friend Michelle actually hung out a lot. I got to know her a lot during this year too. Her birthday was actually 3 days before mine. So she was older than me. But me and her actually went to the same middle school. She was just somebody that I didn't really talk to back then. And so was Jordy. Keep that in mind. I've always gone to the same schools as Jordy, from middle school to high school. And I actually seen him around all the time, but I just never talked to him at all. So me and Michelle, we would go through periods 1 and 3. We would find each other at lunch, and then we would just like walk around and like talk to other people. She was a very talkative person. She was a real social butterfly. So third period comes and it's English. Me and her had that same class together too. So we get to class, and then one day, and it's like, okay, we got to work in groups. You can go ahead and make your own groups, a group of 4. So then we're like, you know what, dope. Like, she's sitting next to the door to walk into class, and I'm all the way in the corner. So then I'm just like, we make the eye contact, and it's like dope. And we're working and stuff, and she ends up making this group of with these other people, Tia and Jordy, and then Michelle and me. So it was us. It was us and this other girl, Paula. So we had to exchange numbers because of this project that we were doing and stuff. So we did, and we started group chat. And then throughout that whole class, not even dealing with like the project at all, we would get text from Jordy, and he was just like, he's a character, okay? So like, he's really funny. He's loud, but at the same time, he's really smart, and he knows a lot. Like, he's not stupid. A lot of people think that he's stupid, or like, you know, he's just trying to be extra. Like, that's honestly just him. So he would just be texting us some random, very, very, very random stuff during class, and we're just like, oh my God. But still never talked. I'll get him to come here one day and do a video with me and us talk about school. But we didn't really talk outside of that. And I asked him before too. You guys will see this. I asked him before too. What did you think of me like when you first seen me? And he was like, you seemed like the type of person that didn't care and that seemed like a bitch. You had like a bitchy kind of vibe to you and like you were intimidating kind of thing. And then I was like, what? Because once you get to know me, I'm not that. I might look like it, apparently, according to some people, but I'm not like that. And I asked him that recently. So this was years later. So he's already gotten to know me and stuff like that. So that's how I met Jordy, okay? And then sophomore year comes around. It goes by. And outside of school, I was still the same bad kid. In the area of the school that I went to, if you walk maybe 5 or 10 minutes from the school, there's like a Target, Home Depot, Michael's, PetSmart. Like, it's a shopping area. But it was still kind of new, so not a lot of people really went there. And what we would do is after school, we would wait till the school is like cleared out, so we would just be hanging out in the hallways and talking with our other friends before they had to get on the bus and go. So then once the buses were gone, we would walk. It was me, an old friend, and our other friend from the group. And we would all just hang out and stuff. We always had money. No matter what, we always had money. So what we would do is, we usually didn't eat the food at lunch. So after school, we would go to In-N-Out. There was an In-N-Out not too far. And we would go and we would eat there. And then we would look at the time. If it was maybe around like 3 o'clock or so, by the time we finished and everything like that, we would head over, which is a little bit more up the road, and you had to like go behind stores and stuff like that just to get to the store. A lot of the time, oh God. The sad part is that even though we had money all the time, we still chose to like take stuff. We ended up getting like shirts, we would get makeup, like anything we wanted. If we didn't feel like buying it and spending our money on that, we would just take it. Now, like I'm gonna constantly say, it's never good to steal anything. I don't care who you think you are. I don't care if you feel like, you know, I can take it, like, who cares? Trust me, that's how I felt. And like, looking back at it now, I'm so happy that I never got caught, because that would honestly just make this 100 times worse. Because I already feel bad thinking about it. I feel bad that I actually did take stuff, like, all those places. And I had to pay the price for that. In other ways, I paid the price for that. So that sucks. So that's what we would do. And then lived not too far from the school. So we ended up just walking back towards the school. And we would just go to her house. And I used to smoke hookah a lot. Not people in my family, they didn't know that at all. So if anybody from my family watches this, they're gonna be like, what? Like, yeah, I used to. I don't do that anymore. So we would just go to her house and we would just do, you know, smoke hookah and stuff. And what she would do is, if any of you guys ever smoked hookah, then you guys know that you get the water bowl. There's water, right? So what we would do instead is we would get the water bowl and she would fill it up with vodka or milk. It depended. Like, we would have water at the beginning of the session. Next session, we would have vodka. And then after that, we would have milk. I honestly don't know where they even got this from, but I had no idea that you could do that. That was literally my whole sophomore year. And then junior year came around. So like I said in the beginning, is that like towards the middle of like October of sophomore year, I went and did online schooling. So I went through that whole thing, and I went through a whole like depression and self-harming kind of thing. And then junior year came around. So junior year, I was quiet when I got back to school. Now, I had a lot of friends at the time. They were my friends. I had a lot of friends at school, and then I went back, and for a lot of them, I just did not go back to hanging out with them. Like, I focused on my schooling more when I got back, and that's where it all started. So sophomore year for me consisted of legit black jeans, black Converse, band tees, in my backpack, and maybe a jacket every once in a while. But that was my whole outfit. Every day. It was a new band, every day. Just like this. I would wear like this, but I would have a jacket over it because, you know, you're not supposed to have holes or nothing like that in your clothes, really. And when I got back to school, I ended up being put in the same math class as Jordy. So as soon as I walked in the class, I remember it too. As soon as I walked in the class, school had already began. So I was a few weeks late to the new year. So as soon as I walked in the class, don't you guys just hate that? Like, if you move schools or if you have to go into a new class and just like you have to walk in and everybody just stares at you. Even though, you know, you're just a student too and, you know, you're a person too, people just stare at you and they legit judge you. Trust me, because some people aren't so quiet about what they're thinking. So I walked into class and I have had this teacher before, Miss Erkins. She's an old Filipino lady. She was adorable. So I walk in and I hand it to her. She remembered me. Obviously, because I'm like one of the only tall students of our class and at that school, really. My last name is Delgado. One of my last names is Delgado. She's like, oh, Delgado. And then I was like, hi, Miss Erkins. And then I gave her the paper. She was like, oh, you're in my class. And I was like, yep. And then she had already placed people where to sit, so she just told me to find anywhere to sit. And I was like, can I sit in the back? Because that was one of the only open spots. And she was like, yeah, go ahead. And then as I'm walking back, Jordy is in the front. And he was like, waving. He was like, Kyla, hi. You know, I was like, hi. Like, I'm still kind of awkward. I'm like awkward because like, I was awkward because like, I knew him. I had his number and everything, texted a few times because of the project during sophomore year, but that was like it. We didn't really talk. So I was just like, oh, hi. Like, it kind of surprised me that he even remembered my name because I'm like, we didn't talk much, so it's like, how do you remember me still? So then that goes on. A few other classes I have with some old friends, and I just started hanging out in the library a lot more. If I go by myself, I would either work on projects. I had online classes that I had to do to get caught up. And outside of junior year, there wasn't a lot of activity going on. We honestly just like kind of like realized that we were being super, super, super childish in our ways. So a lot of us really just like changed that about ourselves. And I was drawing a lot more. I was more so keeping to myself. And I think that had a lot to do with what I was going through previously with the whole depression, self-harm, and like stuff like that. I guess I was kind of learning, and because I was by myself too, I was learning how to mix back in with people. That was basically it. Nothing really happened. It was just school. People started growing up and stuff like that, and then we started maturing, and that was just it. I realized then, honestly, in my junior year, is that, you know what, I got this year, I got next year, and then I'm done. I'm just gonna focus on my schooling. I'm gonna just get through this year. I'm gonna stop stealing stuff because that is not cool. Don't ever do it. I don't care what anybody says. Don't do it. I'm gonna save the lunch money that I'm getting, you know, just stuff like that. And I guess people would say that junior year was sort of boring, so it's whatever. And then senior year comes around, right? And senior year was dope. I always had full schedules. Throughout my whole high school career, always a full schedule. So my outfits for senior year, It was very similar to how I dressed junior year. The only difference was that I started wearing like blue jeans, like denim jeans, instead of just always wearing black. I would wear denim jeans, band tees, plain tees, Converse, moccasins, flats, you know, just like mixing it up, wearing slides to school, mixing it up and just like, you know, being comfortable. During the first week of school, during your first period as a senior, at least at my school, that was also like your homeroom. On the first day, we get our senior crowns. And what you can do is, on that Friday would be senior sunrise. And you can get your senior class shirt there. You would have your crown, so you can decorate it any way you wanted to and personalize it and everything. So then you have all week to do that and make sure that your crown is ready by Friday, because then they would have like activities, you could take pictures, a lot of this. Only the senior class, obviously, if you didn't understand that, only the senior class would be there, and we would all just sit down and watch the sunrise together and stuff like that and just hang out and be together. My favorite color is red, and I still have my crown. Honestly, it was just hanging up over there, but this is honestly my crown. A lot of people did this. I'm not sure why, thinking about it now, but a lot of us wrote senior on the outside. So then on the inside was what like a lot of people kind of called me, Kai. It's short for my first name. But yeah, this is basically it. It's very simple. I'm like not one of those people to really do much. So honestly, this is not the crown that they handed out to us either. They handed out, like, they were smaller this way and they were very pointy, but everybody just ended up going to Burger King and asking them for a crown, and that's what a lot of us did with our crowns. So we wore this. Oh, it also has my class. So you just like, now don't forget, my hair was very different back then compared to like right now. It would actually be more lower on my head. Me and my group, we ended up just getting up earlier, not down the street, but not close to the school. There was a Denny's, so we all just ended up just going over there, and it wasn't crowded because we honestly expected a lot of people to go to that same Denny's. So when we walked in and it was quiet, it was like, yo, cool, dope. So then when we get to the field, you can purchase your school, your class t-shirts. So this is ours. Yeah. And then since our class is 2016, ours was go big or go home. So yeah, my school's name was Legacy Longhorns. And also printed on the back, this was all the names of every single senior that was in this class. I'm the 6th person from the bottom up on the 2nd row. Like legit right by my nail. It's not gonna focus, and I'm not gonna make it focus. Outside of school, since you know everybody's getting their driver's license, or they got their driver's license already, you know, hanging out with my friends more, driving around. During that spring break, I ended up getting my nose pierced for the very first time. So I used to have 2, but if you watch the Halsey vlog, then you know that this one came out and it's basically closed already. The next day I tried to put something in, yeah, it's closed. So I got it pierced for the first time, and then I was like nervous. Just a few lights down, there was Coolsville Tattoo, and they have $20 piercings. Anything like from the neck up, you can get anything pierced for $20. And people hear that and they're like, you're obviously gonna get infected. And it's like, okay, first of all, chill. And you know, got the piercing, me and my friend, we got our piercings, and we both got nose piercings. And it was just pretty cool, it's pretty dope. A few days later, still on spring break, me and my friend, we ended up going to get tattoos. And you know, we're thinking, you know, we're gonna be best friends. We're gonna be baes before anyone else. Like, that's who we are. Like, we're inseparable. That's what we were thinking. So what do? Me and this person had a lot of pinky promises, and like we did a lot of pinky promising. Nobody knows that, by the way, but we did a lot of pinky promising. And that right there was just our thing. So, you know, we're eating at Olive Garden and we're just talking. That was another one of our things, is that we always love to go out and have lunches and just talk. So we were doing that at Olive Garden, and next thing you know, just an idea comes up and it's like, yo, let's go get a tattoo. It's like, okay, what are we gonna get tattooed? And so it's like, we're looking and stuff. We're just like, why don't we just get like pinky promises? And then we were talking more, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna call the place. So we go, I call Blue Buddha Tattoo. My cousin also works there. He's really good. You guys should check him out. D's Son Tattoos. So I call, and then I'm like, this is an appointment only kind of place too. So I'm like hoping that we get in. So I'm just like, hi, do you guys have like any openings today by any chance? Me and a friend just want to get small tattoos of just like hands pinky promising, and then just that, nothing else. And then we're talking on the phone and stuff, and then he was like, okay, go on my Instagram and message me because I'll be the one tattooing you. And then he told me and stuff like that, and we get on and we're like talking and stuff, and then he's like, you want just this? And then I was like, yeah. He was like, both of you? And I was like, yeah. He was like, nothing modified to it at all. And then I was like, no. And then he was like, okay. He's like, I got you. So make sure you're here by blah, 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 whatever time. And this is across town. And so we get there and stuff like that. And then we're talking about it on the car ride. We're like, oh, where are you going to get yours? And then they were like, oh, on their, like, in this area. And then I was like, just from that, I'm like, yo, like, you hella hard, dude. Like, that's tender. Like, oh my gosh. And then she's like, oh, where are you going to get yours? And I was like, oh, on my forearm. So then we go. She goes first. We go. And then he was like kind of asking us, like, you know, oh, what is this? And da-da-da. And then we were just like kind of telling him stuff. And then before the tattooing even starts, he was like, oh, do you want to add something to it? And me being me, I'm always wearing bracelets, as you guys can tell. And I love low-kai bracelets. I love them, love them, love them. I have my own collection of them. But most of the time, I'll either be wearing this red one or the multicolored rainbow one. And so I was like, oh yeah, I was like, can I add a bracelet like this? And I was wearing the red one. And he was like, yeah, do you want it red too? And I was like, yeah. And so that's why this would be my hand right here. Let me stand up. Maybe you guys can see it more. So this would be my hand. Obviously, because of, you know, my bracelet. This is my hand. Hello. And then, in a sense, this would be her hand. And, oh, your mom. So then, we get it and stuff like that. And then, I don't think she got the bracelet on hers. I think it was just the hands. I'm not even going to say that. Fuck, I'm not even going to say that. And then after that, you know, I've already had tattoos by then, so I know how to take care of a tattoo. I mean, I started getting tattooed at 14 years old, so I'm like, I know how to take care of them and stuff. And we go and stuff, and we're just like, yo, like, we really got tattooed and stuff like that, and da-da-da-da-da. And we go over to our other friend's place, and then we're just showing them, like, because not a lot of people at our school really had tattoos in our class. So it was just cool and stuff, right? So then that goes on, spring break is over, partying and stuff like that, whatever. That was kind of like it for senior year. A few months down the road, this friend, probably at the time, she was like joking around a lot. I've always had a job since I turned 16. Literally, I turned 16, I had a job. So I was working a lot because it was graduation season. So, you know, there's a lot of graduations going on. There's like 4 to 5 every day, and that could go on for like 10 days. And it's not just like high schools either. It was also colleges at the same time, and I would work those. So maybe she was joking at the time, but this could also be my fault. The way I took it didn't sound like a joke. So she was one of those people that knew my work schedule. She knows when I'm working because she always wanted to hang out. And this was on Twitter, by the way. I don't even know if it's still on Twitter. I've moved so far past that. It might be on Twitter still. But she said something along the lines of at needs to stop working and come hang out with me. And just that day alone, I already kind of woke up on the wrong side of the bed. So me just reading that, it kind of just like annoyed me more, because I'm like, honestly, this is true. I'm like not lying when I'm saying this. But I was like thinking in my head, if you're gonna pay me, then I'll come hang out with you, but you're not paying me, so I'm gonna go to work. Like, the money I have that I use when we hang out is from work. So if I don't have that money, we can't hang out because you're not gonna pay for me. So that's honestly what I thought. And then next thing you know, I've already met Cece by then. So we're on the phone, and then even C is like, what's going on with this? And then I was like, I don't even know. Like, I just woke up a few minutes ago, and that's like one of the first notifications I see on my phone. And while we're on the phone talking, we're also on Twitter. It's like all three of us. It was me, C, and this friend. And we're kind of going back and forth at it because I'm like, I already had enough by then. Me and this friend kind of had like a falling out at school when we were still in school. So then I was just like, you know what, like, fuck it. Like, I'm over this already. I'm done. Like, I'm done. And then she texted me. This friend, she texted me. I think it was her or it was one of our other friends that, like, seen everything that was going on. And then they were like, yo, like, it's cool. Like, it's not that serious. You know, don't be like this. You know, we're all homies. You know, we all grew up together. Like, don't let it be like this. And then I was just telling them, I was like, no, like, I'm done with this shit. Like, this is like nonstop bullshit that's been happening since towards the ending of senior year. Like, I'm fucking done with it. So then that happened. So me and this friend don't talk no more at all. So one thing I want people to know is that time does not fucking matter when it comes to friendship. It does not matter how long you guys knew each other. Nothing. Because if time mattered that much, me and this friend would still be friends. But we're not. We grew up before we even like went through puberty. We were still in elementary school. We grew up throughout our whole school life, our whole school career. Just for like it to end 1 or 2 months after senior year, time don't matter when it comes to friendship. Either you're friends with somebody because y'all get along good and y'all vibe together and stuff like that, or you guys stop being friends because you're finally seeing some shit that you just like let fly over your head and you realize what's going on. Anyways, aside from that, another good point is that I don't know if you guys remember earlier in the video, but I said I had a lot of friends in high school, right? I had a lot of friends. So as soon as senior year ended, legit like ghosts, gone. You only see them post on Twitter. They don't text. They don't respond. They don't call. They don't call you back. Nothing. They'll give you a like every once in a while on like maybe your tweets. They'll maybe favorite it. They'll like your Instagram post. Maybe they'll like your status on Facebook. That's about it. And what I'm trying to say about that is another way to survive high school is to not really care whether you have a lot of friends or not. And the friends that you do have, if they're legit friends, they'll still talk to you outside of school. They'll still talk to you if they're going to college and you're not. They'll still text you. They'll still call you. They'll still ask you how you're doing. They'll ask how your dog is. That's what legit friends are. Because Jordy. I knew about him middle school, didn't talk to him, he didn't talk to me. Knew about him throughout high school. It wasn't until senior year in our government class that we got really close because we sat next to each other. We were one of the only people that like we knew. He was a very, very, very social butterfly. So he knew everybody. I didn't really know a lot of people. So then I started talking to him and stuff, and we just like got close, and we're like very, very, very good friends. And in the span of 1 year, because sophomore year doesn't count, we didn't really even talk. I didn't even do that project. So we really didn't even talk. But after coming back in junior year, we were somewhat talking. We were talking to where we could say hi to each other in the hallways. But it wasn't until senior year, that first day in government, when we were waiting outside the classroom and we'd seen each other and we were just like talking and stuff like that. And we were like, oh, I was like, oh, can I sit next to you? He was like, yeah, of course. So then we walk in and stuff. We go sit in the classroom, and then right after that, every A day was like the best. I had him in that first period in our very first class of the day. We had our math class, and then we sat next to each other then. Weren't supposed to, but you know, we moved seats, who cares? And went that whole day just to make sure I made it to government. That was one class I didn't really like skipping. Like I didn't like ditching that class, so I hardly ever did, because I was like, those classes are dope. So just me and him being friends for like legit maybe a year turned into like this, what we are now. We're always texting about something. And like I said before, he's a very intelligent person, and he's very loyal. We'll talk about his whole situation a different day, but he's very loyal. And even though he's going to college right now and I'm not, I still help him out. We'll be talking on the phone. I'll help him out if he has issues at home. I'll let him know my own issues if I have any. And thinking about it now, I'm sad that I didn't meet him before, because I was too caught up with the friends that I had since elementary school. And I was like, yeah, they're my best friends and stuff. You know, like, we're going to be best friends forever. That can happen. You can be best friends with the people you grew up forever. You can be, but that didn't happen to me. So just keep in mind that it's school that you should be worried about. Who cares who you're listening to music-wise? Who cares what you're watching show-wise? Who cares what you're wearing? You gotta work with what you got. Who cares if you have the latest makeup? Like, honestly, get through school. Go to classes. Do your homework. I hardly ever did my homework. Do your homework. Do your classwork. Don't be disrespectful to the teacher. That's the thing I see a lot. And that's a lot of things I've seen a lot of. Is during school, these people, they would just be very rude to the teacher. And it's like, they're just doing their job. Yeah, some are cool and they'll joke with you and stuff, but others are here to actually get their job done, and that's to teach you whatever they're teaching you. But these kids are so far somewhere else that they don't realize that you need this teacher to teach you something, but you're being disrespectful and you're being loud and you're being very rude to them, that it's making their life harder when they don't want to wake up every day. At least teach at my school. Not a lot of people really wanted to teach at my school because of the kids there, and that's sad. Oh my gosh. It's not cool to be rude or disrespectful to your teachers. It's not. And a lot of people thought that when I was going to school. But you know what? It's school. Like, just get it over with so that way you can be out of there. You can get your life started, whether it's going to college and continuing your schooling, or it could be going and working and just be like, you know, just work. Whatever it is, just get through high school. Or you could always drop out. That's always an option. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Jordy actually lives down the street from where I'm living now. So one day I actually want to get him on here and me and him talk about our high school experiences with you guys. Because me and him honestly lived very, very, very different lives throughout high school. But now we're like the best of friends. If you guys like this video, I hope you guys did. And if you're going through high school right now, please tell me I'm not the only one that did some of these things. Because like that will make me feel horrible. Like I know there's bad kids in high school, but like you can always turn yourself around like me. Like I was horrible. But if you're going through high school right now and you're just like really trying to push through and get through it, I don't see a lot of kids like this nowadays, but if you're really trying to push through and get through it, just know that, you know, it'll be over before you know it. And then next thing you know, you'll be looking back on your high school life like I am right now. I've only been out of school for 2 years, and while I was in school, I didn't realize how fast the year was going by, but like it's gone now. So just know that, you know, school's gonna be over with before you know it. So just make sure you get to your class, do your homework, and yeah. So I'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.